ॐ नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवसमारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। I welcome you all with my love and respect. I welcome all the living and practicing Hindus, Sarvanyaka Pitakartas, Yajamans, Manifestors, Sarvaparityagi, Sri Mahans, Kailasas, ministers, ambassadors, diplomats, e-diplomats, consulate generals and supporters, citizens, Paramashiva Ganas, Mantreshwaras, Vidyeshwaras, Astreshwaras, Lokeshwaras, Ganeshwaras of Kailasa. I welcome all of you with my love and respect. Paramashiva's message directly from Kailasa. Listen. Time and space the continuum of time and space is due to a stuff connecting both. That stuff is called Maya Tattva in Vedic tradition. It is not there, but it is there. Because the time and space, both the dimensions, do not have a clear border, kind of a watertight compartment border. No. Understand this very intensely. For example, if time and space put together is 100 meter, consider an 100-meter cloth as time and space. For some people, 60 meter is time, only 40 meter is space. For some people, only 30 meter is time, 70 meter is space. The time and space continuum and the way it exists as reality for you is not the way it exists as reality for others. That is why some people are so excited to wake up in the morning. Some people feel, oh God, I don't know why I need to open my eyes. Listen carefully. The outer world reality is perceived between certain frequencies. Like I gave the example, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz sound only can be perceived by any normal human being. Below 20 hertz or above 20,000 hertz, you can't perceive it. you can't hear it. If you experience, it's something extraordinary. Yesterday, I saw when I was giving the satsang itself, she was getting into that mood of anagata dvani, means the sound which is higher frequency than the 20,000 hertz. The experience you had, which you have not shared with anyone, is true. I saw it was happening in her. Understand one thing? Just like the sound below the 20 hertz, above the 20,000 hertz, can't be heard by normal man, but it can be heard by extraordinary capability. Same way, this reality which all of us are commonly sharing with the word called world. This is also between certain frequency. For example, we will give the same like sound 20 unit Maya to 20,000 unit Maya. It's only an example I am giving you. Between the 20 unit Maya, 20,000 unit Maya, the hertz for sound, Maya for the reality, I am using Maya word as a unit for reality. Between 20 unit Maya to 20,000 unit Maya, all of us common human beings can experience it as world, as reality. If it goes below 20 unit or above 20,000 unit, you start manifesting powers. Listen. If you unclutch intensely, it will go below 20 unit Maya. You become pure intense. If you go about 20,000 unit Maya, you become pure devotion, feeling connection. But in both you experience oneness. Suddhadvaita Sugabodham. One beautiful thing, this clarity, whether you unclutch and reach below 20 unit Maya or practice devotion, feel connected and reach above 20,000 unit Maya, you experience the same oneness. Sutta Advaita Sugabodham. If I initiate you into power manifestation, your whole body, mind starts getting grounded in that oneness space. Sutta Advaita Sugabodha. What you manifest is Shakti, not ordinary Siddhi. Because in our power manifestation, the more you practice, more you get grounded in enlightenment. You can see our kids, the more they manifest the powers, more they get detox, means more they get grounded, pure, settled, enlightened. Whenever my kids throw tantrum, the first thing I'll do, I'll somehow convince them to sit and do power manifestation. Either third eye or Akashic reading. Akashic reading is best because Kalabhairava, when he lands, he cleanses the house completely, thoroughly. Kalabhairava is acid wash for consciousness. Kalabhairava is best. Whenever my kids do Akashic reading, I have always seen they get settled so much. They get grounded so much. I tell you, Kalabhairava is the best god. He generates such powerful joy, enlightenment. Now, I'll make a simple statement. Just internalize them. Because yesterday's satsang, I was giving more like a hints. The Upanishads are more like a hint. Only the conclusions, punchline. I am putting it now along with the punchlines, the connecting thread. Sutre Manigana iva. Length, breadth, depth is the known dimensions of the universe, even as per the modern day scientists. Time and space is kind of a half known, yet to be explored, yet to be fully known, still remains mysterious for the grasp of ordinary human minds. But the length, breadth, depth is most comfortably, conveniently, at least understood dimensions of the known reality, world. I am developing the special super brain where my Gurukul kids, just like the scientists, are able to decode, reveal everything related to length, breadth, depth. My kids will reveal everything related to time and space. That is why I insist on them not eating outside food. Understand? See, the Gurukul food, Adinam food, the food is offered to deities, which are literally living Archavatara, gods. There is another one technique my gurus used to use. They will insist that I eat the food offered in the temple, Arunachaleshwara temple, which was offered to Paramashiva, and Kuppamal used to do regular puja abhishekams whenever I am getting trained into some new initiation, which will be always at least once a week. Once a week, they will do some new initiation process on me, training. Sometimes they will tell me directly, hey, this is not required for you, but you need to learn the procedure so you can train others. You can revive it. Swami is a great Siddha, a great enlightened being. He will somehow call people from Himalayas, that corner of India, who are well-known adepts in those fields and sciences. And teach me that science, that knowledge, transmit that experience. Sometimes, due to my laziness, I'll try to throw tantrum to Isaki Swami. Oh, you know Nirahara Samyama. Why are you forcing me to go and learn from Malayachi Narayana Swami? We had one Swami who used to be sitting on the top of the hill. To meet him, I have to walk almost for quite a long time. He was sitting inside the temple itself. Terkukattai Gopuram, the western tower, which used to be inside the Thirumanjana Gopuram, he used to be sitting. And after some time, he started staying in top of the hill. So Isaki Swami will insist, Kuppamal will insist that I go there to have his darshan. It's almost like 2 hours or 3 hours walking up and then down. When I asked him, oh, you know the science, why don't you teach? Why are you asking me to go there? He used to smile and say, you should not disrespect. Whatever is said and done, his expertise in that field and the intensity with which he can just transmit it into your biomemory is unique. So you just go and do what I'm saying. He used to give an example. In Tiruvannamalai, used to have shops, that village shop. In Tamil, he will tell, அடே மளிகை கடையிலையும் என்ன கிடைக்கும்டா, அப்புறம் ஏன்டா கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி மாமா என்ன கடைக்கு தனியா போற? One person, Krishnamurti, used to have shop only for oil. Isaki Swami used to say, in regular grocery shop also you get oil. But why do you go specially to his shop? Because he himself has all the complete infrastructure needed to make the oil, and he does it very sincerely, organically, and he sells only oil. He'll give this an example and tell me, go and learn. I also wanted to tell all of you, always eat only consecrated food. Eat only prasada. Eat only once a day. Make that as a lifestyle. Kanchipuram idli, as I said. I can add some 25 variety of sacred food. Kanchipuram idli, Melakotta puliyodara, Srivilliputtooru akkara vadisal, Tirupati laddu, Jagannathar Mahaprasadam. All this, just have the recipe, cook any one of this, offer to deity and eat only once a day. These all amazing traditional food recipes. Understand? Whether you know it or not, realize it or not, your thought current and your reality is not separated by any wall or any border. What you again and again persistently put in your space starts manifesting in your time. What you again and again and again practice in your time starts manifesting in your space. As I said, this time and space does not have a clear cut border. For some people, in this time space continuum, in the time space dimension, if it's 100-meter, consider it as a 100-meter long cloth. For some people, 70-meter is time and 30-meter is space. For some people, 30-meter is time, 70-meter is space. For some people, even only 2-meter is time and 98-meter is space. For some people, 98-meter is time and 2-meter is space. Listen. When the length dimension starts manifesting its possibilities in all its multiple level, it gives birth to breadth dimension. When the length dimension and breadth dimension both starts manifesting all its possibilities in multiple level, it gives birth to depth dimension. When the length dimension, depth dimension, breadth dimension, all three starts giving birth to all the infinite dimensions of them in multiple levels, in all possibilities, spontaneously and simultaneously, they give birth to the dimension called time. When length, breadth, depth, time, all four starts exploding, expanding, simultaneously, spontaneously, manifesting all its possibility in all dimensions, it gives birth to the dimension called space. Understand? Every time I initiate you, I put the seed in your space dimension. So it just occupies your whole being and start manifesting. Starts manifesting as samadhi, as enlightenment, as joy, as bliss, as state of Paramashiva, as space of Paramashiva, as powers of Paramashiva. Shiva, 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 Shiva. Shiva, 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 Shiva. Just from the space of Paramashiva with the grace of Ganapati. From the space of Paramashiva, the pure superconscious energy. I'll now initiate all of you into the space of Paramashiva, state of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva, superconsciousness of Paramashiva, giving you the experience of Kailasa of Paramashiva. Paramashiva's Kailasa. Sit straight. Let me help you. Just simply intone your being with this sound Maha Sabda. Shiva, 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 Shiva,
Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva, Shiva.
Shiva, 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 Shiva. I initiate all of you and bless all of you to intensely start manifesting the state of Paramashiva, space of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva, super consciousness of Paramashiva. I have a Shastra Pramana from Manusmriti on eating consecrated food, prasada, chapter 2, 55th sloka. Pujitam yasanam nityam palamurjam cha yachati abhuchitam tu tatbhuktam ubhayam nasayeditam. Eating the food that is consecrated, offered in worship, the prasadam, always gives energy and strength. Eating non-consecrated food destroys both energy and strength. This is one of my vision for the future. Having thousands of, or I should say even millions of, the restaurant chain which provides consecrated food, prasadam food, without demanding any certain amount or cost. We do it as a service to Paramashiva. You can voluntarily donate. You can donate 1 rupee or 1 coin or $50 or $1 or €1, or you can say, no, I don't have money today. I don't have anything, so I don't want to give. You can say, I have money, but I don't have a mood to give. That is also okay. At least, see, we already have de facto spiritual embassies in 4-digit, surely in 4-digit. At least the bigger embassies of Kailasa should start this. I wanted to really inspire all the Kailasavasis, Adinavasis living in different countries. In some countries, we have a de facto spiritual embassy status. In some countries, the embassy status. So wherever, in some countries we are a temple. In some countries we are just a monastery. Various status as per the legal standards of each country. You will be surprised to know in many countries recognized by UN, in many countries, Hinduism is not even accepted as a religion. We are working now with many of those countries and educating them about Hinduism and making them accept Hinduism as a religion. Anyhow, that is diplomatic responsibility of Kailasa, that's different. All I want is at least all our active ashrams, centers, adhinams, temples, universities, gurukuls, de facto spiritual embassies, all of you, without violating your local law, should implement this vision. Preparing organic food, offering it to Paramashiva, and serving it to people with the principle of eat as much as you want, pay as much as you want. Or instead of pay, let us use the word donate. Eat as much as you want, donate as much as you want. This kind of chain of restaurants should be important service activity of Kailasa. See, as on now, we are providing food for our Adinavasis, Sannyasis, Gurukul Balasans, in temples, the visitors. We should expand it into the restaurant level. Eat as much as you want, pay as much as you want. We should even start providing the parcel service. And I tell you, when you do the good work, always wealth is showered. Wealth will never be a problem. Just you need a sincerity and start. Simple hard work. See, the whole history of Kailasa. In Kannada, there's a beautiful proverb, Kayakave Kailasa. Simple hard work is Kailasa. Kayakave Kailasa. Kailasa, in one line, or I should say one word, simple hard work, that's it. Everything gathers. Everything you manifest. We should start this. This simple hard work. Tamal Tarundas is asking, are time and space from Prakriti? Is so, then which is having more sattva guna, space or time? We learned from Swamiji that Prakriti is having 3 gunas. Tamal Tarun, your question, let me put it very clearly. Prakriti has 3 gunas, no doubt. When I use the word Prakriti which has 3 gunas, it means it should be understood like which has 3 gunas, which gives birth to the whole nature. The reality component of the existence, the Vyakta component of Avyakta, the manifest component of unmanifest. See, the unmanifest can become manifest component only from the womb of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. But that does not mean the space should have Tamas and Rajas. Time has Tamas, Rajas, Sattva, no doubt. But the space has only pure Sattva. It does not have Rajas, Tamas. Understand? Because Prakriti has all the 3 gunas, does not mean all her children should have all 3 gunas. No. Prakriti has some children who don't have all 3 gunas. So understand, space is pure sattva, sutta sattva. Existence is space. Time has very minimal amount of Rajas and Tamas which is needed for it to function as circle. Understand? Length functions in length. Breadth functions as breadth. Depth functions as length, breadth, depth. Time functions as circle. space exists, does not function, but can be winded up into consciousness, chit. Devi, Parashakti, Prakriti, she is established on chit and manifests like Parashakti is sitting on Paramashiva's lap. She is established in chit but manifests that length, breadth, depth, time, space. So Tamal Tarun, understand, time and space are from Prakriti. That is the answer for your first part, the question. Is so. The second part of your question, which is having more sattva guna? I should say, space is absolute sattva. But don't start judging time as something lower than space. Sometimes you need little rajas and tamas for circling. See, time has its purpose to exist. It has its own purpose. So to complete its purpose, it needs little rajas and tamas. So don't judge. First thing, drop this neo-Vedantic stupid ideas of tamas and rajas are something lower than sattva. Understand? Sattva is needed for your higher level of existence. But you are not expected to hate rajas and tamas. One of the major binarification of great Hinduism is done by this modern day Neo-Vedantis, Max Mullerian translation. See, you need sattva, you need to be established in sattva, but you will never be established in sattva if you think rajas and tamas are something lower than you, because anything you think is lower than your need, you will continuously be hating and fighting with them. Indirectly, you will be developing more and more rajas and tamas in the name of love for sattva. Understanding sattva's need, understanding the place of rajas in Prakriti and place of tamas in Prakriti makes you intelligent sattvic being. Do not make this binary, subtle assumptions which even you don't spell it out to you. This question, Tamal Tarun, please understand, this question has an underlying contempt about tamas and rajas. I know you love me too much and we have a beautiful, very sweet relationship. That is why I am revealing. Please don't be hurt. I am not hurting you. There is an underlying thought current which is having more sattva guna. Understand? When you ask which is having more sattva guna, space or time, there is an underlying contempt about tamas and rajas. Do not have it. You are chit, consciousness. You need to be established in sattva, but that does not mean You should not have rajas or you should not have tamas. Tamas and rajas has their own purpose. When you are established in sattva, you will know the real purpose of tamas and rajas. Actually, when my kids write their reminiscences about how I teach them and train them, you will get a real version of complete Hinduism. Fortunately, I did not let them read these Maximilian translations of Hindu scriptures. Fortunately, last 20 years, amazing works have come. The Hindu practitioners have translated Hindu scriptures. First of all, many of my kids have started picking up Sanskrit directly by initiation. And even the kids who need English translation, last 20 years, lots of, I wanted all of you to know that this Vedic Upanishads book, which I am using as a textbook for all our kids to learn Upanishads, it's such wonderful translation. So much the translator and the team is integrated to Shastras. So the compulsion of the Maximilian translation and Neo-Vedantic thought current centric translation is no more needed, because the practitioners have started translating, the practicing Hindus have started translating. That's a beautiful thing. And the third part of your question, we learned from Swamiji that Prakriti is having 3 gunas. Tamal Tarun, I already solved it. Yes, Prakriti has all 3 gunas. That does not mean everything came out of Prakriti should have all these 3 gunas. So, Tamal Tarun, love you, and tell your son Rohan Das, love you. Avoid Max Muller's and Max Mullerian translations of Hindu scriptures, because binary ideas, this or that, yes or no, does not bring knowledge. Understand? Knowledge is ability to perceive the reality in all its multiple forms of existence, not postmortem. Life is not postmortem. Papa doesn't speak fluently. Skandamata, she has not started speaking. Any ordinary person will be very worried. She's not started speaking. I said, hey, relax. Kumara Gurubara did not speak. Not that he was dumb or deaf. No. He was just waiting for Subramanya to initiate so he can start straight singing. Same way Papa is just waiting. She will start straight conducting satsangs and initiations. She is just waiting to come and be with me in Kailasa. She will straight sit next to me in the Sarvanyapita and start taking classes, giving satsangs. Understand? A binary logic person can never understand what I am talking. Anyhow, when she does it, you guys will understand. There was a great saint, Kumaragurubharar. He did not speak for quite a long time. I think at least some 7-8 years. They took him to Tiruchendur Subramanya Swami temple. He just started singing directly, that's all, on Subramanya. There are many references in Hindu tradition for this kind of genius happenings. Papa doesn't speak. Not because she has something less or she is not capable. No, she is capable of too much. So she doesn't want to speak ordinary, small, stupid things. She says, I'll speak when I need to speak. When Ammayappan says, I'll speak what I need to speak. Otherwise, she's too sharp. Everything happening around her, she knows. You can't control her. But she doesn't speak. Skanda. Literally Skanda, Subramanya. Hastamalaka also did not speak until Shankaracharya came and initiated. So we have a lot of references. I do have some more revelations about the Kailasa's administration structure. Paramashiva's administration structure in Kailasa. We are just mapping it into Hindu parliament. The first avarana, the 5 avaranas described in Kamikagama, how it exists in Kailasa. First avarana, Mantreshwaras. Second avarana, Vidyeshwaras. Third avarana, Ganeshwaras. Fourth avarana, Lokeshwaras. Fifth avarana, Astreshwaras. So, Karanikayam Yajedevam Brahmangaischa Samavritam Ganeshaihi Lokapalaischa Hedivir Vajrapurvahai. On the pericarp of the lotus seat, you should worship Lord Shiva as surrounded by the Brahma mantras, Agna mantras, Anga mantras, Vidyeshwaras, Ganas, Lokapalas, and Ayudas. This is the Purva Bhaga of Kamikagama, 4th Patalam, Archana Vidhi Patalam, 187th sloka. Karanikayam yaje devam brahmangaischa samavritam ganeshaihi lokapalaischa hedibir vajrapurvagai. On the pericarp of the lotus seat, you should worship Lord Shiva, surrounded by the Brahma mantras and Anga mantras, Vidyeshwaras, Ganas, Lokabalas, Ayudas. So with this, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam, the state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailasa of Paramashiva. Paramashivoham, Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. The eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. Be blissful.